Are you looking for an athletic scholarship? You're in the right place. This is the Recruit Me Athletic Scholarship Podcast, the longest-running podcast on recruiting and athletic scholarships. We're here to help your family navigate the recruiting road all the way to an athletic scholarship. He's a recruiting expert and a dad of 2 college athletes. He has a wealth of experience to share. Here's Recruit Me CEO, Brent Hanks.
Welcome to episode 425 of the Athletic Scholarship Podcast. The Athletic Scholarship Podcast is the world's longest-running athletic recruiting education podcast. I'm Brent Hanks, the host of the Athletic Scholarship Podcast and the owner and CEO of Recruit Me, LLC, and I'm thankful that you chose to listen in. Please like or follow the Athletic Scholarship Podcast on your favorite podcast app, or go to the recruit-me.com website to listen to all the past episodes. Episodes that cover myths about recruiting, the 7 steps to an athletic scholarship, official and unofficial visits, what to do each year of high school to get recruited, questions to ask coaches, and interviews with coaches, athletes, and parents. Email me, brent@recruit-me.com, if you have any questions about recruiting, or if you have a topic that I can cover. Last week's episode 424, was called Sometimes Recruiting Makes Me Sad, and I covered 3 things that make me sad to see when student athletes don't pursue a sports career in college. Number 1 was a student athlete doesn't know how to get recruited. Number 2, when a student athlete hopes to just get found, and thus recruited. And number 3, when a student athlete doesn't realize that their talent will play on a college team. Today I will cover a thing that makes me sad when a high school student athlete does get recruited and even commits to a school. Today's subject is when a student athlete commits too early. According to the Guide for College-Bound Student Athletes PDF found on the ncaa.org website, the definition of a verbal commitment is when you verbally agree to play sports for a college before you sign or are eligible to sign an NLI, National Letter of Intent. The commitment is not binding on you or the school. And here is what the PDF says about the National Letter of Intent. By signing a National Letter of Intent, you are agreeing to attend a Division I or Division II school for 1 academic year. NLI member schools agree to provide athletics financial aid to you for a minimum of 1 academic year as long as you're admitted to the school and are eligible for financial aid under NCAA rules. The NLI is voluntary and not required for you to receive financial aid or participate in sports. Signing an NLI ends the recruiting process because coaches are prohibited from recruiting student athletes who have signed NLIs with other NLI member schools. If you sign an NLI but decide to attend another college, you may request a release, and the school may use its discretion in granting an NLI release. If you sign an NLI with one school but attend a different school, you lose 1 full year of eligibility and must complete a full academic year at the school before eligibility to compete. If you have any questions about NLI, visit nationalletter.org. Now that covers the NCAA Division I and Division II levels. The NCAA Division III schools use a celebratory signing form that is non-binding. A potential student athlete can sign this form at any point after the student athlete has been accepted into the institution. On the NAIA.org website, you can find a guide for student athletes too. Here's the information that you get about the NAIA Letters of Intent. As an association, the NAIA does not have a Letter of Intent program in which the student signs a binding agreement to participate in athletics at a particular institution. Student athletes may sign letters of intent with an individual NAIA school. However, they are not obligated to attend that institution. That said, some NAIA conferences require their member schools to recognize letters of intent that are signed by other institutions within the conference. Please check with your prospective school to see if any conference programs apply. Another resource, the njcaa.org website, gives you free information on junior colleges. JUCOs call their commits LOIs, Letters of Intent. The NJCAA Letter of Intent is used to commit an individual to a specific institution for a period of 1 academic year. The form is only valid for NJCAA member colleges and has no authority over NCAA or NAIA schools. Once a student athlete signs a letter of intent with an NJCAA member college, they immediately become unrecruitable by any other NJCAA member college for the duration of the agreement. It is not permissible to sign a letter of intent with two NJCAA colleges. I wanted to give you what the definition of a verbal commitment is and what each level's rules are. All these verbal commitments lead to actual commitments, an enrollment to a college, and get you on a college team. Let's get into an observation that I have about student-athlete commitments. It makes me sad when a high school student-athlete commits too early. An early verbal commit happens often and at all times during the high school years and even before high school. But as you have heard, a verbal commitment is not binding. Some student-athletes commit early. And when I say early, I mean before they are eligible to sign their National Letter of Intent or Letters of Intent and before their junior year of high school. They do this because they want to end the recruiting process and make their recruitment simpler. I found on the ncsasports.org website under a paragraph that summarizes why athletes verbally commit. It says, by making an early commitment, athletes signify to other coaches and their peers that they are done looking at potential schools. For most sports, this means college coaches will stop recruiting them, and they can focus on finishing out their high school career without worrying about the recruiting process. I am not a big fan of high school student-athletes committing early, but it does work for some recruits. I don't have any research numbers on how many early recruits don't end up going to where they early committed to, or just staying 1 year or even one semester at that school. But I see and hear about plenty of early commitments that don't end up at their committed schools, especially now with all the transfer portal changes. Because of the transfer portal in many sports and at many schools, colleges don't make a scholarship offer when the time comes the junior and senior years of high school. Here is what can happen, and unfortunately it does happen often. A high school underclassman gets attention from a college, and the college may offer a scholarship or a spot on the team, with scholarship talk to come later. Then the student-athlete, as an underclassman, verbally commits to the coach and proudly posts his or her verbal commitment on social media with a sports collage and a thank you to their coaches, family, and other people that helped in the recruitment. The high schooler now feels the pressure is taking off of being recruited. The search is over. The juggling of contacts with coaches from many different colleges ends, because after a verbal commitment, the student-athlete and other coaches cease contacts. The student-athlete doesn't have to worry about what coaches are in the stands, and some pressure is taken off to play or perform great every game. The early commitment is thought to lock in a spot on a college team and/or a scholarship. Many commits take for granted or think that that guarantees their college future. But remember, the NCAA Division I and Division II levels, that is a binding minimum 1-year contract between the student-athlete and the college program. A great NLI free resource is the nationalletter.org website, and on the website is a Life of Your NIL PDF. A few key points from this NIL reference are that financial assistance offer must be made to a student-athlete from the college sports program. No walk-ons or preferred walk-ons or Ivy League or military academies sign the actual National Letter of Intent, but they might sign other documents specific to those institutions or just as a ceremonial signing. The NLI PDF also states that the NLI does not guarantee you playing time or a spot on the team. The only guarantee is that the institution will provide you with athletics aid for the academic year. Now, there are specific date ranges for signings in each sports, and you have to be a high school senior or a prep school student or a junior college transfer student-athlete. Another NLI signing rule is that a college coach or any athletic rep that you are signing with cannot be at the signing. Remember, the actual binding NLI is only at the NCAA Division I and Division II levels, and a student-athlete doesn't have to sign an NLI even though that they may be getting athletic financial aid. As usual, I'm talking a lot about NCAA Division I and Division II situations, and I'll give you some insight on the other levels later. But continuing on the two upper levels and early commits, I see that early commits take themselves out of the recruiting market early, negating their chances on getting on other college coaches' radars, negate the opportunity to take unofficial and official visits to other colleges. And sometimes when the time comes to get their final offer and sign the NLI, the offer never comes from the school that they verbally committed to. This is a harsh reality of the business of college sports. A walk-on spot might be offered, but the early commit didn't lock in anything. Even early commits might end up on the college campus in the fall, especially non-scholarship or partial scholarship student-athletes, and get cut after the first semester. Especially with the transfer portal options available, some colleges in some sports offer high schoolers early and then fill their roster spots with transfers and pull their offer or ghost the high schooler. All of this doesn't happen to every early commit, but fair warning, early committing can be a minefield. And most early commits, I feel, may not have done enough research to understand what the terrain will be their junior and senior years of high school. No matter what level you early commit, it doesn't lock in any guarantees, and it takes you out of other opportunities to shop other colleges. Don't take yourself out of the game just to get a blip on social media. Don't let other early commits push you to move too early. Don't let the anxiety of recruiting get to you for what is possibly a not right fit decision. Don't let the biggest school offer or opportunity lead you to a wrong fit decision. Our family's sons' decisions to their schools worked out very well, and I think those decisions were helped by the boys' preparation and our family's prep too. I say this in about every other episode. If there are 1,000 student athletes, then there will be 1,000 different recruiting journeys. Both of my sons made their college commitments at the end of the summer, right before their senior year. Parker, my older son, played in a showcase in Joliet, Illinois in August of 2017, and a pitching coach came from Northwestern and watched Parker pitched, and he invited us to campus the next day. He knew about Parker pitching in Joliet because Parker had sent him an email and invited him to the showcase. A week later, Northwestern's coaches offered Parker a preferred walk-on spot, and Parker accepted. It took a few weeks to apply and be accepted into Northwestern. Parker announced his verbal commitment to Northwestern the first week of September of 2017. Our family visited Northwestern at the end of October 2017 on an official visit with the other 6 recruits in his class. And then Parker signed a ceremonial NIL the first week of November 2017. Because Parker was not taking any athletic financial aid or scholarship the first year, he was not eligible or required to sign a binding NIL for the Division I level. Parker was relieved to have his next 4-year plan started. He could concentrate on his senior year basketball season and enjoy it and train for his upcoming senior spring season of baseball and flat out just enjoy his senior year of high school. He stayed in contact with his future college coaches and his future teammates. His college coaches sent workout information and items for him to do to prepare for his freshman year of college. Parker had other opportunities to commit early, and also had more opportunities right as he committed to Northwestern. 2 schools called him while he was applying for Northwestern. Sutton, my younger son, also committed right before he entered his senior year of high school. About halfway through his summer season, before his senior year of high school, Sutton realized he wanted to and could play baseball in college. He started contacting some coaches from a list of colleges he and I researched. He also met with his club coaches to get their help and some more options about colleges he could contact. The first week of September 2021, Sutton did a campus visit and attended a prospect camp. In October 2021, we visited Columbia College, met the coaches, and did a campus tour. And then the first week of November 2021 of Sutton's senior year, Sutton committed to Columbia College. His high school held a signing day at the school. By Sutton signing with an NAIA college, he signed a letter of intent, but the NAIA letter of intent is not binding. And the coach or a school rep can be at the signing. We were excited that Coach Munns, the Cougars' head coach, helped us celebrate Sutton's signing by driving 2.5 hours for the ceremony. I give you my boys' timeline just to show you some real-life tangible examples. I actually started putting this episode together to cover multiple things that make me sad when a high school student-athlete commits. But by covering some of the nuts and bolts of commitments, I took a little more time. Maybe next week I'll get into another subject. Join me next week to see. The Athletic Scholarship Podcast is one of the many free and inexpensive recruiting resources that RecruitMe provides. Go to the recruit-me.com website to take advantage of, again, the Athletic Scholarship Podcast, the free Recruiting Power Pack, the free monthly RecruitMe newsletter, and the inexpensive $39 RecruitMe 3.0 Athletic Scholarship System, which gets you a comprehensive step-by-step manual, workbook, and worksheets. If you want a sample of what you get with the Recruit Me 3.0 manual, then listen to the past episode 410, called Free Chapters of the Recruit Me 3.0 Athletic Scholarship Manual. Also, take the time to email me, brent@recruit-me.com, and request the Parameters Worksheet and the College School List Worksheet for no charge. Thank you for listening to the Athletic Scholarship Podcast, and I'll see you next week.